Should our fire services be open to privatisation? Surrey County Council is currently outsourcing its specialist fire and rescue service to an independent contractor in a pilot scheme. The Fire Brigades Union has criticised the move, saying the money would have been better spent on increasing the number of firefighters in the county. Meanwhile, Government Minister Brandon Lewis wants to change the law to allow fire and rescue services to operate under what's called employee-led mutuals. In other words, companies functioning independently of local authorities. Now, Sarah Owen, I know you're a former fire service employee, I think, aren't you?
Yes.
So presumably you've got an opinion about this. I mean, that Surrey scheme, let's start with that. It's an interesting one. It gives them the ability to carry out specialist rescue operations they couldn't otherwise do. That's not a bad use of money, is it?
I think at a time when we've got a government deciding to give tax cuts to millionaires, I think it's ludicrous that we're sat here talking about privatising parts of our fire service, where actually their focus, their number one priority, number two priority, number three priority should just be about saving lives.
OK, well, when it comes to Surrey, they're saying more people die in the water these days than die in house fires. They need specialist dive teams. No amount of public funding is going to be justified. You're not going to get it in this climate, surely, from any kind of government. So why shouldn't they do this? Would you not at least concede that this could be an effective use of money?
Our fire service is a fire and rescue service, and our fire officers should have the training to deal with emergencies that affect them the most, and that goes for all fire officers.
You're making cuts, though, huge cuts. The fire service is making cuts because of budget constraints. What do you think they should do, Mark? You're presumably in favour of this kind of contract.
Well, I was a member of the Kent Police Authority, and I think for the emergency services, when you're having to make savings, you want to do that while protecting the line and the front line, making sure that public safety has just got to be the priority. On, say, the water, on the Thames, Kent Police and Essex Police joined together to sort of co-fund the service there. And with Surrey, in terms of the rivers and that type of rescue, something that the fire service don't feel they're the specialist in, I think it's certainly sensible to look at other ways of doing that if they think that would be more effective, so long as it's safe for the public.
But Mark, how is it possibly safe for the public if this move will reduce the number of firefighters by about 5,000? How is that possibly safer for the public?
Well, I think what's key is if it's a rescue from a river, that you have people who are available, who are experienced and capable of carrying that out. And whether it's in the public or the private sector, I think we should decide whichever is going to be best for the public and whatever does it most effectively.
Where do you draw the line, though, Mark? Because people will feel very uncomfortable about the idea of public money going into private companies who, let's face it, are going to make a profit out of emergency services and saving lives.
Well, I only think we should do that if they're going to be better or more effective at doing it. I think that the core activity.
You don't know till you try, unfortunately.
Well, certainly in Kent and I think Sussex. I mean, I think we'll watch what they're doing in Surrey. If it seems to work, it's something we should look at. If not, then
you have a line you would draw, presumably. You wouldn't want wholesale privatisation, would you, of fire service, or would you be open to that?
I mean, I don't think I would support wholesale privatisation in this area, but I do think we should do it in the most cost-effective and the safest way we possibly can for the public we're trying to serve.
I think a perfect example of privatising public safety is during the Olympics and the G4S debacle that we had there. I think that the fire service should just be about saving lives, not about making a profit and getting the cheapest cut. Yeah.
Can we just talk about what I mentioned at the beginning, what Brandon Lewis is discussing? I mean, this idea about these employee-led mutuals. What's got a lot of people concerned is the way this has been done by stealth. There hasn't been a public debate about it. Is that something that you're concerned about?
Well, I'm pleased we're having the debate here.
Well, we are. No one else is.
Well, yeah, the Fire Brigades Union, obviously they're gonna fight to represent their members, but I think the people running the service should look to do that as effectively as they can, with safety being upmost. And
this is much wider than what we've just been discussing. Yes. Contracts in specialist areas. This is, I think, it's been called privatisation by the back door. In other words, you wouldn't have fire authorities anymore. You'd have these employee-led mutuals. And it'd be a completely different world, not the one that most of us are used to. How comfortable are you with that?
And I think there's a need to oversee that, to make sure that it's safe and it's operating in the best interests of the public. But short of that, I don't think we should be ideological about how it's done. But as elected politicians, we've got to make sure that the people we represent are safe.
It would, however, Sarah, mean that fire employees have a say in the way that their services run.
I think the important point to remember here is the general public's say. on how the fire service is run. This wasn't something people came to the general election in 2010 and your government didn't say this is what we want to do. We want to privatise parts of the fire service in the same way that you didn't do that with the NHS. And the general public have had their say when you've tried to sneak downgrades across swathes of East Sussex, and particularly in Hastings we had the Ridge Fire Station, which was tried to be downgraded from a full-time fire station down to a part-time fire station. Over 8,000 people within 12 weeks said that's not what they want. They care about their fire service and they feel that it should be there to protect them.
Okay, just quickly, Mark Reckless, answer quickly Sarah's point.
Well, I mean, I've fought off fire closures in my area on the Hoop Peninsula at Cliff and Grain. Unfortunately, we lost a fight at Halling in my area where we've had a small fire station close. However, we're getting a new fire station built in Rochester. We've got to ensure that the service is fit for purpose, but we've got to keep people safe.
All right, we'll have to end it there. Thank you very much for now.